This is To The Bar. Strength in every story. And now for today's show.
So, welcome to The Bar and episode 206. I am Aaron Holt.
And I'm Jess Roebuck-Slaney.
So this is a review of the British Championships 2025.
Yeah.
What a weekend. I feel knackered.
I'm exhausted, yeah.
Yeah, if I end up clearing my throat and sounding a bit, well, like I've had zero sleep, it's because that's pretty much it. It was lots of shouting because it was very noisy.
Yeah. Anyone who was there will understand, and if you weren't there, just imagine a lot of noise for 3 days straight and still feeling a little bit deaf by it. So I'm not sure I actually had a conversation with anybody. I think I just talked at people and they talked at me and we pretended that we could understand one another for the entire weekend.
Yeah,
I was very loud.
Got really shit hearing it at the best of times. So I was doing a lot of yeah, and just judging whether they were laughing and going like yeah and laughing with them. So apologies if you said something meaningful to me. I just completely missed it.
Most people are used to you being like that by now, I think.
Yeah.
But before we go into the championship then, so the 2025 British Weightlifting Championship, so we had the powerlifting and the weightlifting going on, and we had the masters, we had the seniors, and obviously the powerlifters there all in one place. So as much as we've just sort of had a little bit of a moan about the noise, it was nice that everybody was in one place. But before we get into that, I just wanted to give a shout out to our sponsor who helps make these podcasts possible, and so that's Redefined UK. So it's actually Shemek from Hampshire Barbell. So it is Redefined UK that sponsor us, and they give us a discount code which anybody who listens can use. So that's to the bar 5 for 5% off anything on their store. But really, it's Shemek getting behind us again, as he has done since we started the podcast. Really, he was always been there as somebody that's supported us, listened to us. One of the first guests we had on, and is the first person to offer to back us in a more formal way, which is really nice, I think, and sort of, for me, helps really cement that community-driven idea behind our podcast, is that it's for everybody.
Yeah, and I think sort of following on from that, when we had Lee, of course, a couple of episodes ago, he was talking about how they're trying to gift shoes back to the communities, to kids essentially, and how they can swap out the shoes. And so Shemek is doing that to get in touch with them. I think he's doing a pilot scheme with Crazy Strength.
I think it was Crazy Strength, he said, yeah. But yeah, so shout out to Redefined UK as our official sponsors.
Yeah. And Diet Coke if you want to.
It never works. It's like the fruit pastels. I tried to get sponsored by fruit pastels for training. Tag them all you like, they never give you anything. But yeah, it was a long weekend. So we were there from the Saturday. It was a bit of a different one for us. So normally, if you have listened to this podcast before, what you would have heard from us is a review from the TO side, so from the technical official side, which is really where this started, to the bar, TO the bar. You know, it was us as technical officials trying to maybe make the sport a little bit more relatable from our point of view, or make us, maybe, you know, the TOs more relatable. We're not all horrible bastards that want to press the red button, was really what we were trying to do. But this weekend, I mean, I TO'd on the Sunday, but you didn't TO at all.
I didn't TO at all. I did do a bit of loading.
Loading. I was shocked actually at one point when I walked through and I saw a little head sat in the loader's seat, and I was like, oh god.
Yeah.
That
was good fun.
I quite like the loading.
Yeah.
Last time I loaded, I quite like loading.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, so a quick shout out to the armed forces who normally would fill that, you know, with
well, we see the same faces, don't we, for the British and the English from the armed forces that provide people that come and do the loading. But I think the world is in a bit of a crazy place right now, and so the armed forces couldn't spare the staff who were either deployed or on, what is it they call it?
Exercise.
Yeah, but like when you, is that what it's called, exercise, when you're like prepped? You might be standby. That's it, standby. Yeah. So obviously BWL did a big old shout out for volunteers and loaders a few days before, and I saw lots of new faces. It was really nice. People I hadn't seen before. It's nice to meet Claire from BWL, she dragged her partner along, hadn't she? And there was another one of the refs, he dragged his partner along.
Yeah.
She was checking out the increments, and yeah, it was nice. It felt like even though there were gaps in places we wouldn't normally have the gaps, it was they were filled quite nicely.
Yeah.
So yeah, a bit of a different one from us.
Yeah, and so part of that was, of course, that I competed. I've decided
Finally.
long and last to get back onto the platform again.
Stop moaning.
Stop moaning. And primarily it was because it was driven by the changes that BWL have implemented for the Masters lifting, and that was introducing the Q point system, or QMasters system. So obviously there's the distinction that I think we probably need to start making, because I think the Q points will become a bit more prevalent throughout the next few seasons as people switch from Sinclair to Q points.
Yep.
And then the Masters version of that is, they call it QMasters.
Yep. So it's very similar for anybody that's used Sinclair to Sinclair, and then your Sinclair MHF, so Masters adjusted. So that's essentially, for me, I'm just sort of it's just like a step up, it's like an upgrade, right?
Yeah.
And to point out for anybody who might not know, teams like USA and where's Salford from?
Sweden.
Netherlands.
Sorry,
Netherlands. Yeah. So teams like that are already using Q points for their juniors, and they're already using Q points for their sort of tier 3 equivalent club level meets. So actually, Q points aren't that new. They aren't something that BWL are doing differently to other places. But yeah, so first time for the Q Point Masters sort of spurred you on to get back on a platform. Yeah,
and so of course BWL are doing it on rankings, and for whatever reason there was a bit of a slow uptake. I think people were a bit hesitant, I guess, for the inaugural sort of competition with Q Point or QMasters. There were a lot of places that were still open, and again we've had, there were comments on some of the posts that we'd made, that the way they did the invitations, and then had to wait for the invitations to be accepted, and then they would roll down to the next load of invitations, and then sort of it was people that were they ended up having to open it up to all because time was running out, and I think it was 3-4 weeks before.
They
so had to get it done.
Yeah, I mean, essentially the way it should run is the top 7 lifters in the weight category are invited to compete, which is what happened. So BWL sent out those invites. Those invites were either ignored, or if they were accepted by a very few number of people, which meant that groups weren't full. So a second round of invitations went out to the next load of people below that, and again they were either ignored or minimally accepted. And so in order to fill the groups, to make a competition worth having, what BWL did was open that out then to open registration, which is fastest finger first, really, which is, to be fair, what the Masters didn't want when we had the Masters consultation. Was, we don't like that it's a case of, the quickest you sit there and on opening day you hit the button, and if you get the spot, you get the spot. Because last year I think all the Masters, the women's, was gone within 4 minutes.
It's insane.
Yeah,
like the Oasis gig tickets being released,
right? But it wasn't competitive.
No, by far.
So it was a shame, I thought, and I was quite vocal. If you're in the WhatsApp chat, and if you're lucky enough to be under 35 and listening to this and not be in the chat, maybe just ignore this bit. But I was quite vocal about how I felt about that, in terms of people still complaining that it had then become open. There's only so much that BWL can do in terms of admin, an administrative invite to keep going. If there was a way to automate it through Sport 80, remembering that they don't own Sport 80, that's the separate software, fair enough. But essentially it's Maggie sitting there sending those emails one by one and waiting for you to accept that invite or decline it. So there's a certain element of people understanding that it's one person, and so
the thing that got me was it's not BWL's fault that they have to keep on sending out the invites. It's because of you guys, the athletes, that don't reply in time to say, actually I can't make it, or I can make it. So don't blame BWL that they ended up having to open it up.
To open up, yeah.
But it did work out in my favour, because for all of you people who didn't want to sort of jump in, it meant it opened up, and I was able to compete, because I was only had done the one competition just to see where I'd sit, and I was way out of the rankings.
I did look where you were, and I can't. 18th?
I say way out,
yeah, 18th maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So managed to get a spot.
Yeah.
And jump in.
Yeah.
Which ended up being one of the, well, for me, one of the fun, good groups. Because you saw the.
Oh, it was amazing.
Yeah.
It was at the Q points. For me, I mean, I was already sold on Q points. I was sold on Q points from Banger, which if we separate the two, if we look at Masters weightlifting, so British Masters weightlifting, Q point conversation started around there, and I sat and watched the lifting at Banger and thought, yeah, okay, every single person's walking away with a medal, and there was a 35-year-old guy there who lifted less than you did before your injuries, and got like it really cemented for me that it's not a competition when you've got that many age categories and that many weight groups. For it to be competitive, we'd have to have a lot more people registered with British Weightlifting, be competing, and we just don't. So I was already sold, but your group even opened out, because a couple of those people were fastest fingers first, right? There were a couple of spots in yours that were just open. You could have been anywhere on the list. It was competitive.
Yeah.
Like, it was really competitive, to the point where, so we were on a platform at the back where you were warming up, and I was having to run backwards and forwards to the monitor to check the scoreboard, because people were changing weights and because people were doing what seniors do, and they were trying to pit one another with the Q points to get the place.
Yeah.
I mean, when does that happen?
No,
for Masters.
It doesn't. Very rarely these days.
I mean, I remember when I first met you, and I was having a conversation about medals, and you being like, yeah, I've got, I've, not in an egotistical way, but sort of saying, I've got loads of medals, but I've got them because I'm usually the only person in my weight and age class, or there's one of two of us, and it's not, I don't do it for the medal, I do it to compete against myself. And I understood that to a degree in terms of competing against yourself, because I'm more like that myself. I think at the time I didn't really understand the not competing against other people, but it was only as I got more exposed to it and realised that actually it's because there was nobody else to compete against, because the category was so small. You'd maybe have like 2 or 3 people, so you were guaranteed a medal. All you had to do was turn up and make the lifts. So this being, you were third, well, you were second, and then you were third, having not received an invite, having been 18th, and sort of fighting for that with your jumps was really fun. Yeah,
it was really interesting. And then, of course, the first and second spots were filled by the polar opposites of exactly what QMasters points really sort of epitomises, and that is that it doesn't matter what your age, it's how well you lift and how strong you are.
It equalises.
It equalises it all out. And so we had Bryn at the grand old age of 800, 60. Sorry, Bryn. 67, I think he is.
Yeah.
And Richie, who came in, literally did one qualifying comp.
Yeah.
Coming in from the dirty side of CrossFit.
Yeah.
But bless him. But yeah, I mean,
and
what
he was young.
An
was he
amazing
35?
I think he was 37 as well.
37. So you're 30 years difference, and I mean, I can't actually explain it. I wish I'd managed to get some of it on video or to demonstrate the atmosphere around that Marshall's table for those last 3 lifts of Richie's, because obviously he followed himself at the end, and he took his second lift, and Bryn was still first, the Q points, because Bryn had lifted heavy for his age. I mean, he is a strong guy, like, he's super strong.
Yeah.
I can't remember what he opened on for his snatches, but it was in the 80s or just below, and clean and jerks was 90. 7?
I think so, because
So
I think
it was-
he warmed
it-
up on the 95, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, 67, 97 clean and jerk.
Yeah,
That is impressive.
yeah.
So, for Richie to pip him, he had to do 158 kilo clean and jerk. And obviously his snatch was I can't remember what his snatches were, but they were equally impressive. But every lifter from that group, aside from the odd couple of stragglers that weren't there, and actually a couple of lifters from the group before, the Masters men's before, because a lot of you have sort of known each other for a while, everybody competes together, so they sort of hang around, were stood around that screen watching and waiting to see who was going to take gold.
Yeah.
And we were stood there and we were sort of saying, you know, you never want someone to miss a lift, and I didn't want Richie to miss a lift, but I wanted Bryn to get the gold, because it would have really shown for me I mean, it did anyway, but it really showed the point of Q points.
Yeah.
Is that, yes, clean and jerk 158 kilos,
Yeah.
it is so impressive at any age. It's impressive. But to be 67 and still going to the gym and still training and still turning up and getting an invite and clean and jerking just below 100, there's a 30-year difference. 30 years is a long time.
Yeah. Well, I hope that Richie looks at that and thinks the longevity is there, and that means that I can carry on competing until I'm Bryn's age and battling it out for a first spot.
Exactly. And that's why I love it when the seniors and the masters are together, because I hope the young seniors, some of them are still bloody youth and juniors, aren't they, and they're qualifying in the seniors, but I hope that they're looking over and seeing people like Bryn and Stuart Choate, who is incredibly strong. I'm hoping they look over and they see people like Trish Tren lifting.
Trish was amazing again.
Yeah, and thinking, this isn't something that I have to do for 5 years, and you know, this isn't a sprint. It doesn't have to be. I mean, absolutely, for those that are going to qualify for LA or Commonwealth or, you know, the elites, there's an element of sprint in the sense of they have to maintain a certain level. But for the rest of us that are, I say amateurs, if you get into the nationals, you're a little bit more than an amateur. But it doesn't have to be that you only get to the nationals in your 20s. You can keep lifting and keep being competitively lifting well passing. It was a lot of fun. It really was.
And I loved it. I mean, the buzz as well was just amazing. I mean, I think if you saw any of the videos of me, I was jumping around like a lunatic.
But I think that's because of the vibe, wasn't it?
Yeah, the vibe was great.
And I know that wasn't the case for every group, because I know that there was a couple of, I think maybe the women's groups that were under subscribed to, and again, we might have had a little moan there at the beginning, in the sense of people not declining the invites, but also acknowledging the timescales. You know, we've just had Europeans, so some of the masters have just come back from Albania, some of the masters are going to Worlds in Vegas, so the British Championships falls at an awkward spot in the international masters calendar, so some people might not have accepted that invite because the British Masters was not a priority over the Worlds. And that makes complete sense to me. You know, your priorities, your goals are yours. And so I understand that. So some of the women's groups were really undersubscribed, and it did mean fastest fingers first. But because it's still Q points, it did mean then there was huge variety in terms of starting weight and weight lifted, and it meant that some of them followed themselves. So some of the groups were quite, I wouldn't say slow, but they weren't as competitive. Where yours was like, very few people followed themselves unless they missed a lift. It would have been much more like a senior competition. I think some of the other groups weren't necessarily like that, but it's, for me, I suppose, just acknowledging that it's the first time BWL have tried this, and even on the day, on Saturday and on Sunday, Matt asked, and he must have asked more than just me, and it wasn't just Matt either, the staff were asking what's it been like? What's the feeling? How is it for the athletes? What's it like for the TOs? They were trying to get feedback in the moment, so I can't see how that's not going to then go away and be reflected on and thought about, okay, so it really worked here, it didn't work so well there. What's the likelihood of us still getting, now people have seen it, what's the likelihood of people actually accepting the invites? Do we change it to like a round robin? Like,
yeah.
There's
It still amazed me how many people turned up and didn't realise it was done on Q points. It was like...
Missed the memo.
It just bewilders me how that you can get to the comp or enter it with that. I mean, it wasn't like BWL sometimes are a bit shit on communication, but they were pretty spot on this.
Yeah.
It was plastered everywhere, and so yeah.
I think it comes down to the ability to read the board, because the way Owls presents it presents rank for total and rank for Q point, but it gives you the Q point total. So on the Sunday, I was TOing and then finished my TO shift, and I should have been able to watch the last men's group, the heavy men's group, but there was a masters lifter that didn't have a coach, and so I stepped in to help her, and she placed second and was the first out for snatch and first out for clean and jerk, but was incredibly strong for the clean and jerk, like incredibly strong. Again, she was born in, I've not named her, I'm sure she won't mind, 1965, and she finished on a 53 clean and jerk. So it's impressive, impressive numbers. Yeah. And so she was packing up, getting ready to leave, putting all her stuff away, and I was like, you sit there, because at the minute you're first. And this was well into some of the other lifters having started and started getting their Q point scores on, so you can sort of tell. And obviously, because we've got the calculator app that Aaron spent a few weeks hunched over his computer developing for you guys, so shout out to the Q Points app, which is available on the App Store. We'll put a little link in the bio. I was sort of quickly using the app to try and figure out what they would have to put on their bar in order to beat the lifter that I was coaching, and was semi-confident that she would place, and so kept her where she was. And she came second. Yeah. But I think some of the coaches were looking at rank for total, even though it said the Q points. Yeah. So I've got a photo, and what I might do is just share that on our Instagram and maybe on our website, just so people can understand what the screen looks like when you're looking at Owls. Because if you're not a regular coach for Masters, or it was Q points was the first time, maybe it's just worth pointing out the difference when you're looking at a scoreboard as a coach or as an athlete, what you're looking for to see where you are. But for me, it was quite clear at the bottom, same as the seniors, same as any other. It said 1, 2, 3, and the lifter I was with, Trish, was quite clearly sat at number 1 for quite a long time, until Claire Conabare, who's extremely strong, came along and smashed her out the water and took the first. Very well deserved, though, because like I say, Claire Conabare, I enjoy watching her lift. She did deserve that. But yeah, it was so much fun. Even that group really enjoyed it. Yeah.
Oh, you mentioned the calculator. I used it for Beata when I was coaching her, and she was packing up ready to go, and I was keying in the last lifter was going out, and I was like, and I'll have to speak to the lifter separately that didn't make the third, but I ran back over. I said, don't go anywhere, because at the moment you're in.
It's fascinating, you got though. I think it made it really fun. I really do. And I think I really think it made it leveled it out, because that was another group that had 30, 40, 50, 60-year-olds in. It had the full range. So for that to be an equal playing field, I think means a lot. So I obviously coached you. Yep.
Thank you very much for that as well, by the way.
Just a lot of running backwards and forwards.
Lots of hyping me up, lots of jumping up and down.
Yeah, that was my training for the week. My hamstrings are tired. My hype is doing some jumps. So I coached you, coached the orphaned lifter, and then
marshaled.
I did some marshalling. So hopefully we're going to see how that video has come out. It's really difficult on the day. So you have these grand plans, but then in the heat of the moment of actually doing the marshals table, actually the athletes came first. So I've got some video from the marshals table from my side as a technical official of the computer system and of the scorecards, and my intention is to go through, put that together and essentially do a voiceover and explain what's happening from a technical official's point of view. And that's so BWL can share it with new TOs, but also for you guys at home, if you're wondering how if maybe you haven't coached at national level and you've only coached at a tier 3, and obviously it's very different. You just yell at somebody and tell them what you want, and if you come and do that to me at the British, the change won't get made.
Not going to fly.
It's not going to happen. It's also like the scratching out. I had a coach ask me once why I'd scratched out their changes, and it's because they'd missed the 30-second opportunity to make the changes. So just talking through what I'm doing and why the score sheet looks how it does at the end, which I think is an interesting side of the TO bit that athletes and coaches don't always get to see. So you see the card when you're filling it in, but you never see it at the end finished where we've put the total together and we've highlighted what the top snatch was, and that's just in case for whatever reason all the systems go down.
It's a hard copy.
We lose all of the data from Owls, say end of the day somebody unplugs a computer and it never turns back on again. We've got paper, and we can go through and say this was what everybody's attempt was, this is what their changes were, this is what they missed, this is what they made, and this was their total. So it seems like a lot, but it's actually a backup system. At the end of the day.
Absolutely. And again, I think, for any athlete or coach that is planning on going to a tier 1 comp or that doesn't know, do not be afraid to approach the marshal and just ask. They're all there to help. I
would so much rather that.
We're switching, we're hoping to sort of, we have been switching that dynamics between coach and an athlete and the TOs to make us a bit more approachable, and that relationship we now got with coaches and athletes hopefully means that you can all come up to us and just speak
ask.
to us and ask. Say, I don't understand what this does, just spend a couple of minutes with us explaining it. That's what we were there for.
I did do a couple of weigh-ins as well, and what I noticed was the OWL system is automatically adjusting for the 250 grams now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because I was not deducting the 250 grams, and then when I entered the body weights and the openers into OWLs for 2 groups, it automatically adjusted them. So
another shout out to Jean-François Lamy who develops that bit of software.
Good
kudos
for
to him as well. But there's also a sort of a POV, I hate that word, me wearing Google glasses, which is the first time I've worn them, and going in and doing my athlete weigh-in. Don't worry,
the meta glasses.
You have to wear singlets, so you won't see anything you shouldn't see, apart from my weight. God, I might blur that out.
Everybody can see it online anyway.
That's a good point.
It's everywhere.
I used to be an 81, and I weighed in at 90 point something. 0.6.
Yeah, but you were still low the bottom end of your group, and it's muscle because he's finally let me start doing strength and conditioning in the program. So moans about it. It's muscle.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the weigh-ins, I think the weigh-ins were all right. I mean, they were. It was. I appreciated doing the weigh-ins because it was quiet.
Oh man, yeah.
I think I've been a big advocator from the beginning of BWL and CrossFit and the Fit Fest and SID, so Strength in Depth, and the NEC and that mix. From the very beginning, I have sat on this podcast and said, yeah, I love it. I don't like lifting in silence. I was never really one for the whole, even at the Olympics, we went to the Olympics and everybody goes quiet. I know why we all go quiet, and I don't know that you need noise, like they do need quiet, but for me personally, when I think back to Manchester, say, and it was just the British, the venue was amazing, all the effort BWL had put into was amazing. It looked shit hot. It looked like the crown jewel, didn't it, of the competition season, but there was no atmosphere. it was dead. There were no spectators. You know, it was hard work, and that was such a shame because BWL had put so much effort in. So then when we did Fit Fest, directly after that, so it's maybe 4 months after that was Fit Fest, to me, because I will always remember Romero coming out to do his first snatch, and the entire, it felt like, of the CrossFit people coming over to watch Romero, and I just thought, this is how you get eyes on weightlifting.
Yeah.
This is it. And so I've always shouted out for it, and I probably still will, but this weekend was too much.
Yeah.
The hall was smaller than normal, so if you were there and maybe were wondering why it felt a bit more overwhelming than normal, it might have been that. And if you weren't there,
lucky you.
Because it was intense, and I'm not usually one to complain about that because I quite like the mix, but but I mean, on the Saturday it got to about halfway through the day, and I was looking at you like, I'm going, I can't stay in this environment for much longer. Obviously we did stay, but it took its toll to the point where when we did get back, I went straight to bed. I had to lie down. Like I was, when we left, I was done. It was tough. Maybe, I suppose, if you're an athlete and you're not there all the time, I don't know. But it was not just me that was saying that. I think that was a common theme, wasn't it?
You know, whenever we went into the TO room, they were all not normally TOs will hang around, mill around, and fill in for gaps and things like that. Everyone was trying to get away from the sound and get out of that environment. Yeah, it was just. I've
never seen Dave Sawyer in the TO room ever. Yeah. Obviously, he's more than welcome. He's BWL staff. He's always been able to go in there, but why would he ever? Because he's going to be off either with his athletes or watching the weightlifting, because that's what he loves. But every time I went back in there and he had space, he was in there. Yeah. And I think that said something to me as well. It's like, okay, this is. It's not just that I'm a little bit oversensitive this weekend. It is a little bit. Lovely. It is. Enjoy that. Aaron cracking his bones. It was a little bit loud. So what I did notice was quite a lot of athletes had invested in loops, which you can wear because they're not mechanical. So there's no electronics in them, and so it's one of those technical workarounds in the sense of there's rules in place saying you can't go out with electronics, you can't go out with your headphones in, but they're not headphones.
I'm going to make a point next year, and I'm going to wear massive ear defenders like you'll get on the building site.
Well, to be fair, you can wear a hat. So does it say you're not allowed to wear a hat with what's the ones with like the little mosquito-y net things? You could have headphones on under there. I wouldn't know. Do you know what I mean? It's like when people would put tape on their elbow, just put a long sleeve shirt over the top. You can't tell. So it's the truth.
I know.
It's the truth. Yeah. So I think never have I ever looked at those loops and thought, oh, I need some of those. But the amount of people that had them in, I'm thinking maybe I need some, either that or I just need some wax earplugs because it was loud. But
I think it also made, because when I was coaching Beata, it made it very, very difficult to hear if she was getting called, but hear any changes for lifters, whether it was a good or a bad lift. So I didn't. She was at the back because that's where she likes, and that's where I like to warm up, is away from everything, and then walk to the front to sort of be ready. Yeah. But as a coach, it just meant back and forth.
That's what I meant when I coached you. Yeah. It was like cardio. Yeah. And I felt daft because I was like, there was 3 or 4 of you that were all starting on 85, and so knowing that you were all going to do the same thing, and you were all going to change, and you were all trying to compete against one another, but all I could hear was Joe Calvino on the middle platform and nothing else. I occasionally heard the guy whose name I've forgotten, I feel awful about, who was doing the speaker on your platform, mispronounce your name because it annoyed me, but that's the only reason I heard it, and it wasn't. It was hard work, and there was one time when we started to go out, and it was actually Ben's. Yeah. And I could have sworn he announced you, but I think he said for you to prepare. But I couldn't. hear. So looking at the board, Ben had made a change because he'd missed, and then so he'd been called. But because I had seen it and you were next, and then couldn't really hear that a change had been made, but heard your name, we started to go out, but it was actually Ben's lift. So yeah, it was challenging, but it's another one of those things where things can't stay the same forever, right? Yeah. So change has to happen, and things only get better. Yeah,
you learn from it. And BWL are great for doing things like that. They'll all sit down and have a look at, they'll review it, and see what went well, what needs to improve, and what they can do better next time. So
I mean, I had a great weekend. I found the only other thing that I found a little bit challenging was when I coached the orphaned lifter, there was a change, and now I'm semi-certain that this is a change, because for me the rules have always been quite clear that for groups of 6 or less, it's a 10-minute gap between snatch, clean and jerk, and then BWL introduced a mandatory 5-minute break regardless of group size. So we had a group it was over the 6, so it should have been a 5-minute break, and a couple of the lifters bombed. Now, I have been the technical official on the marshals table when that's happened before, and even if you were to drop down to 3 lifters, it still remains the fact that the group started over the cap of the 10-minute break, and so you have the 5-minute break. So I'd warmed the lifter up ready to go with a 5-minute break, and it doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're a master and you're working at your heaviest weights, and then you're asked to sit still for another 5 minutes or expend energy doing something else.
Bearing in mind you were, she'd never been coached by you.
There's
lots of triggers there.
Yeah, and I semi tricked her because she wanted to drop down. Once she'd found out that she was going to have to wait for longer, and there was quite a lot of red on the board, which freaked her out because she was like, these refs are harsh, I need to drop. I didn't drop her as much as she'd asked me to drop her because I knew she didn't need it, but it had messed with her sort of brain, if you like, because the clock came on for the 5-minute break, and I said to her she would do 1 lift in the 5-minute break, and then she'd go and sit, and she'd go out for her opener. And at 4.5 minutes, it went to 10 minutes. So I'm sorry, Maggie, because Maggie got the brunt of me going over and saying, no, this is a crock of shit. I have warmed her up.
Don't change it.
Yeah, I've planned it. It's not my fault they've bombed. And I understand that the second half then is shorter because people have bombed. However, the coaches of the athletes before that were seeing the same thing I was seeing, and so should have been warming, because they all 3 of them didn't bomb until their last lift, so they could have made those last lifts, and we would have had the 5 minutes. So it's not until that very last lift that So you can't work with that.
No,
it needs to. I found that challenging, but it didn't matter. At the end of the day, she placed. She got her silver. I would like to think that she might have got the gold, but it doesn't matter. I don't think she cared. I think the fact that she turned up and stayed, because when she realised that she didn't have anybody to coach her, she was planning on leaving, so it was fine. But I think that was one thing that I wanted to, or I will probably try and get some clarity on as both a TO and a coach, because that's new to me, that change.
I've never seen that change.
Never
seen it change. But it must be.
But these things happen, and I suppose it's a lesson in adapting on the day.
Yeah.
And for me, what I took from that was how I responded to it.
Yeah.
Because being able to not freak out a lifter who was already a little bit on edge, when what I wanted to do was say, this is an absolute crock of shit. It was pointless. There's no point yelling at the TOs. There's no point, it's happened. We just got to deal with it. So she just lobbed a load of jelly babies down her neck, and did 1 extra at the weight that we had planned, and then took a little bit of an extra break before she went out and did the first one. So
Yeah.
Great weekend though.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was an interesting one as well from a to the bar perspective as well, because we'd originally gone in with the plan to do some athlete interviews, but certainly the Saturday we just ran out of time through coaching, lifting, and trying to get away from the noise. But also, I mean, big shout out to Phil and Nick. So
Grip and Rip and from the platform,
who were doing amazing stuff, and they easily filled that gap. With some great interviews.
We didn't need to worry about that. They had that covered.
Yeah, which is nice. And BWL as well.
It's lovely to see Alicia back.
Yeah.
My favourite one has got to be, I've shared it everywhere, but her rocking up on that like golf cart for the CJC games, going beep beep. Let's meet some of our sponsors, or let's meet some of our store holders, or whatever it is. She says, just the way she says beep beep, she really made me laugh. I mean, that was nice. I love doing the athlete interviews, but it doesn't mean. I don't think anybody thinks this anyway, but just for clarity, just because there's 3 of us in terms of Grip and Rip, from the platform and to the bar, all doing something semi-similar in the sense of either podcasts, athlete interviews, media, doesn't mean we're in competition with each other.
God, no.
We all either offer something different or complement one another. So I think actually the fact that you've got more people wanting to do those things can only be good for the sport. So it's never gonna be a I don't know how to say it. We had plans to turn up and do athlete interviews. I was coaching you, I think, because you were, I say semi-early, you're weighing and stuff. You were taking some photos. You were so caught up in the photos, having to remind you that you had to weigh in. So I was busy making sure he weighed in. But it meant that was already covered by somebody else. So once I'd seen that somebody else was doing it, and somebody else was doing it really well, I sort of just thought, okay, I can forget about that and focus on you. And then when you'd done your lifting, you could focus on the photography and getting the bits that you wanted to do. So it's almost like we all complement one another. And I really like that. I like that we can all work together and enjoy each other's company. The amount of times that Phil would come over and sit next to me whilst I was taking photos, or Nick, and we'd budge up next to each other. It was great, great fun. The competition is on the platform. It's not off the platform. The more eyes on the sport, the better.
Nick with his dad cam.
Nick and his dad cam. I can't wait for that dad cam footage.
I really can't.
Do you know what though? What on earth? Because the zoom on that thing.
It's insane.
We say dad cam. So Nick Jones from Grip and Rip, he had a camcorder. Like, I'm pretty sure he dug it up from the 90s. It had a cassette in it.
He said, so we met him in the car park on the end of the day of Saturday, and he said, I've got to try and get home and work out how to transfer from the tape onto, make it digital basically, into...
But the zoom on it and the clarity on the zoom of it was, pretty incredible for a 90s camcorder, literally hand through a strap style camcorder. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what he pulls out of the bag with that. That's going to be really interesting to see. And it was really nice to see Phil on the flip side in front of the camera, because I've never seen him do that before. So it was really nice to see that and have that. And have Alicia back then for BWL to cover their side of what is a competition.
The setup, again, for people just not understanding how much it takes to get that thing
all
set
the running
up.
around. All the staff do. You think that just appears, and it doesn't. Like, they are there from 6-7 o'clock in the morning. All the way through to 9 o'clock at night, setting up, putting it back. You turn up and there's a platform, and there's a bar, and there's increments, there's plates everywhere, everything's sorted. That doesn't happen. Fairies don't come in and do that. That is the staff. And
so on the Sunday yesterday, would have been the last lift. they go. That
Yeah.
is it. Bang.
That's
They're
start.
dismantling.
Yeah.
Because if they go 1 minute, I can't remember what, it's not midnight. It's a bit earlier than that.
Yeah,
It
they
must
get
be
charged,
10
don't
or
they?
11
Yeah, yeah.
o'clock. They get fined. So it's
Yeah.
they cannot stop.
But even down to like this, so it's not even just the kit. So it's not a case of getting people to understand that for every warm-up platform, bar, plates, whatever, that all has to be. For me, it's a coordination of the whole team from 4, 5, 6 months out, mapping, and not just mapping what the venue is going to look like, but mapping where's your safeguarding, where's Sue going to sit.
Yeah.
So anybody who walked in, you'd have seen as you walked into the main arena and you went left, and as you went left you would have seen the green platform, and the BWL stand was on the left hand side, and generally Sue Ward, who's the safeguarding lead for BWL, was on that table there with Hannah Bussey, who is the club development lead, I think, and that was sort of like a welcome stand, if you like. And so even down from coordinating that and covering the registration booth, making sure everybody gets fed, making sure all of the loaders had water, making sure that the rotors were covered, sorting out the technical equipment.
UCAD.
UCAD when they turned up, because they turned up on the Saturday for the para athletes. There's so much happening. It's very rare you see, especially the likes of Tara or Maggie, Claire, Ash. I don't see them stop. Not once. So I know it was a jokey video, the one that Alicia did where they were in their high-vis running around. It was there to make you laugh, but the reality behind that is a lot of hard work.
I think if she'd done that video at the end of the day, well, they would all have been flat out on the floor. So it's a good job she did it at the start.
Yeah.
All geared up, ready to go, because 6 hours later it would have been a different story.
Exactly. And I mean, even Matt, he was doing weigh-ins at 7 a.m. Your CEO is doing weigh-ins at 7 a.m. So it's a lot, but it's nice to have all those different elements covered. So from our perspective, media this time was a bit different, but I think that's generally I say generally our style. We seem to evolve each time we do something, don't we? So no athlete interviews from us this time. Lots of photography, which I think we're going to use maybe in a slightly different way, because you've all been flooded. You've seen all the lifts. You've seen all the photos.
I'm swiping a lot.
There's a lot. So we've got some content, and I'm glad we did it a bit differently. But I'm also really glad that Phil and Nick were there to capture the bits that we couldn't, because they were important. Yeah, absolutely. It's nice to get those stories, and especially for the lifters that did well and were able to really shout about their experiences. It was really nice.
Well, speaking of the photography, so some of the sessions that I did manage to get the camera out, so I treated myself to a new camera, and so what did I do? So I did this Sarah Davis Bella session, which was amazing. What a battle. And then of course the Romero and Cyril
men's 110. Right.
I mean, if you do get a chance, just have a look at, try and find those videos on Instagram, because
either on Instagram or it's $4.99 on BWL TV to go back and watch the comp. So
well worth it.
I'm going to plug it, because at the end of the day the money goes to BWL, and we want the sport to carry on, right? So if you weren't there and you wanted to experience it, $4.99. I mean, I was there and I experienced it, and I still bought Aaron's session, the live feed of it, because it's worth it.
Thank you.
It's worth watching it.
Well, compared to the other prices that you could potentially get from.
Naming no names. So for $4.99, I'm thinking that's probably a better place if you need videos to get videos.
Yeah. For sure.
Again, without naming any names. So so I miss, actually it might be a session that I go and do that for, because I missed that because I was coaching the other person's athlete. but what it did mean that I saw a lot of the warm-ups, and I think, I can't remember if we hadn't had a podcast without a guest, so I wouldn't have said this in front of a guest, but it meant I watched Cyril's warm-up. And by watch Cyril's warm-up, what I mean is I saw Cyril's quads from 400 miles away, and then tried to concentrate on what I was doing and not just stare at him essentially muscle snatch 100 kilos as a warm-up.
Yeah.
And he was being coached by Jess De Silva, who I haven't seen
back.
in such a long time. It was... the smile on my face when I turned around and saw her, I don't know where she's been hiding, but it was nice. It was nice to have her back.
Yeah.
So she was coaching Cyril. I saw some of Romero in the back because he was with Mike.
Yeah.
And he I mean, I've seen Romero. We've trained with Romero. You know, we've seen Romero from the lower days, and he just doesn't change, does he? The concentration. I say concentration. Is that what I mean? His facial expression when he's lifting, it's like deadpan, but also effortless. And I'm not quite sure how you reach that, but that's what it was.
Yeah,
it's like deadpan
he finds a zone as it's professional athlete level.
Yeah.
It really is. He finds that place to be, and is in it.
Yeah, yeah,
it really is.
Yeah, and I think what I did do is when we went to we recently refed at the England testing day for the Commonwealth minimum qualifying standards, and we did that in Nottingham with Stuart and Dave and Emily Campbell and Matt was there, and it was just a bit of a testing day really, just to see what athletes were meeting the minimum standards, and if they were meeting those minimum qualification standards, if they could then replicate that at the British, which was what was going to make this really special for me, really, I think. And I'd shared a video I'd taken of Cyril snatching there, because I hadn't seen him in person lift. And I think the caption I put onto the bar was just something like poetry in motion, and that's what that group, or a lot of the people in that group, some people less so, but some of the people in that group, when I watch them, that's what it feels like. Yeah. The way they move. And Romero's one of them, you know, he's the same in the sense of, you're saying he gets into a zone, and he gets into this zone where it's like he went straight to a 70 warm-up, and it was just up, down, so I can't even describe it. It's like gravity didn't exist. And the same with Cyril, really. It's that's when you know you're watching a professional. Yeah. It's when you can see it becomes elegant and it becomes beautiful. Yeah. Not that everybody's weightlifting isn't in its own right, but some people just lift differently. And
Emily Campbell, when we were at the testing day, said, because I think we were talking, it might have been Cyril we were talking about.
It probably was, yeah.
And she said to you, is it really that noticeable? We were like, yeah. Yes, yeah. You know, it's the same when we watch Emily Campbell lift. Yeah, it's... Yeah. That focus, that level of focus, and just the way that precision. People... Yeah, that's it. That's the word I was looking for. Precision in the execution of the lift. It's
spot on, yeah.
Perfect.
And I think that's the thing with the seniors. So with some of the female seniors, I said this to you, in some of the groups, there's a difference. So say like Bella, her lifting is exactly how I'm describing it. It's that beautiful timing. Everything is elegant. It's like watching poetry. It's like watching a dance. When she snatches, the bar reaches the weightlessness that we all talk about and very rarely actually feel unless you do manage that. Well, I remember that first time I ever managed to snatch, and I was like, oh my God, the bar didn't feel like anything for a second. It's like a magic moment. But it's every lift for her. Yeah. She reaches it, she's under it, her arms are snapped, it's done, she's stood up. It was all perfect. And there's some lifters that lift like that, and you think, because what I love about weightlifting is a technique. I love that it's completely technique driven. Obviously strength is a very key component, but you can be as strong as I was probably stronger when I started weightlifting than I am now, but was much shitter and couldn't snatch or clean and jerk as much as I can now.
Yeah.
So although strength is an element, actually you've got all these other factors like mobility, the precision, the technique and stuff.
Yeah.
And some of them are extremely strong, but still do a very throw myself under, dive under, catch it. It's not it's not difficult, but it's not as beautiful to watch. And I think that for me there's a difference when I watch a group between the ones that I can pick out and say, I think I'm going to see them on a Commonwealth platform somewhere, I'm going to see them going on an Olympic quad. You know, you can see the future they've got because of the way they start early, and then others you can see are extremely strong and have got a lot of potential and could maybe get there, but they don't have it just yet. And we've seen those people change and get better. And some of them are just insanely strong, and that strength is what will take them through. But there is definitely a difference.
Yep.
But that men's group, I was very privileged to be asked to coach a abandoned lifter, but sad that I didn't get to watch that. I heard it.
Yeah, well, I
heard
Cyril coming out and breaking the clean jerk British record.
Yeah.
And then Romero coming out and just going, yeah,
and
watch this. What was it? Hold my whatever.
Oh yeah, hold my pint.
Hold my pint.
So Romero like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's so cool.
Yeah, I was sat next to his little girl was in the audience with his partner, and of course I was trying to rush out the pictures at the same time as taking them, and his little girl was sort of wandering around the front row, so came wandering over, saw the picture on the floor, and was like, hey, it's Daddy.
Yeah.
So but,
adorable.
Yeah, he had a great, strong, big fan base, of course. I think CrossFitters are loving him as well, because not just because of strength, but he's entering.
Where was it? He's just been
Turf Games.
Oh, that's it, Turf Games. Yeah, because I saw him bloody everywhere, and they were properly yelling about him, and I kept flicking past it on Instagram and thinking, I love Romero, but that's nothing for him. It's like you're all like cream in your pants. It's nothing for him. This is what weightlifting looks like.
Yeah,
and a little slight on the CrossFitters. I love you all that have actually come over to weightlifting, but it is a little bit. I love that he's done that, because he's sort of showing them what weightlifting can be, or what it can be like for a CrossFitter if they put a little bit of effort into the
efficiency.
Weightlifting.
Yeah, all the CrossFitters out there, be efficient with your movements, and you can shift a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And I think my take from that was that of all the Turf Games sort of events or whatever they do, whether we're running, climbing ropes and all, well, I don't know, try and stay away from that.
I don't know what they do,
but it was flooded with people doing clean and jerks.
Yep.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
So
But I think the other thing is mixing. So the Masters athlete that I was with, so we were on the blue platform, and the men were on the red. So we were literally next to each other, and in between the lifts, she was sort of saying, who's that big boy over there? He's quick, isn't he? And it was Jasper.
Yes, I was going to mention.
I've forgotten. It's Hilton.
Yep.
And so I was sort of saying, his name's Jasper, he's super strong. Told her how old he was, and she was like, "What? And he's moving like that?" And I was like, "Yeah. Now just wait and watch Cyril." And she was like, "Which one? Which one's Cyril?" And pointed Cyril out. And then when I started explaining like who these people were, in the sense of, so that's Romero over there. He was on the Refugee Olympics team. We saw him in Paris. He came, I can't remember, he came 11th, I think, or 8th. I can't remember. Anyway, yesterday I remembered. Today it's gone. And we're sort of telling her who these people were. She had no idea.
Yeah. You're sharing the warm-up area with her.
Yeah, and she sat back, and you could see it for a second of her thinking, wow. And then she said, I'm quite privileged. And I was like, yes, this is how we should all be, like, this is how it should be. Yeah, there's an Olympian in that corner. You were coaching an Olympian, I know she doesn't like to yell about it, but I think it deserves to be yelled about. Like, she's still competing in the Masters now, but she was in the first ever women's Olympics. The first time women were allowed to compete in the Olympics for weightlifting was in the year 2000, and Beata was in that group. So she was one of the first. So she's for me, like a pioneer in terms of, I look at her and I think, if it weren't for women like you, or like that T.O. Mary, who was the first ever female weightlifter on a Commonwealth platform, and she was literally the first because she was the lightest and she opened on the lightest, so she was the first female to ever step foot on a platform and lift an Olympic lift for the Commonwealth.
She said that she used to have to train with the 20 kilo bar. She
trained. Well, they didn't have 15 bars. Yeah,
exactly.
So if it weren't for her and women like her daring to go into what back then were male spaces, male dominated spaces, and do things that no other women were doing, and do them without giving a shit that people might be judging them, or that they couldn't do what men could do, that they couldn't compete in the same way men could compete, that there weren't the outlets for them to train and have a goal. If those women didn't exist, I wouldn't have the opportunity to do the things I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And all the women in the seniors, all the kids in the juniors, they wouldn't have those opportunities if it weren't for people like Beata and Mary. I forget Mary's surname, and it's such a shame. I will put it in the. Yeah. She did an interview with Weightlifting House, a podcast. I'll link to that because she talks about her experience as a TO and stuff. But we often see her in Wales because I think she lives in Wales. But yeah, I think not knowing, you could be surrounded by all of these people and not know the history. And
well, when the Paralympians came in, or the athletes came in, and Liam
McGarry, is it?
Yes, came in, and all the other.
You were so excited. You were like a fanboy when he came in. Honestly,
I love him.
But
remember his Paris thing? It's like wheeling down. It's like, I need to buy some pants.
Yeah, but it was the same for me. I was on the floor, sat next to Susie Pelter, Emily Pelter's mum. Yeah. Because there was just no. I mean, this is what I mean about. I will still support the strength in depth and it being part of that, because it was rammed for that women's group. Mm. I couldn't get a seat. I was up against a wall at the back and thought, nah, screw this, can't say anything. Front row's all reserved for the VIPs, and I thought, Susie won't mind if I just sit on the floor next to her. She didn't notice me for the first couple of minutes anyway. So I sort of sat on the floor there. But what it meant was I could see the red platform for the group that had like Maddie Rocher and stuff in it, and then I could also see the powerlifters, and Louise Sugden, is that her name? She came fourth in the Olympics, and her bench press is like 123 kilos or 121 kilos or something, and I just I can't imagine it. I cannot imagine bench pressing that much weight.
Yeah,
I really can't. And I think that's what's really lovely about it, was that I could sit there and I could watch what's going to be our future weightlifters, because a lot of that group, I can't think what everything's changed. I can't think what weight class it was, but it had a lot of the sort of youth junior. It had some of the talent, like, the ones that Emily Musket coaches in it. So they were the younger end, and then Aaron Barton was in it. Yeah. And so you sort of had this amazing group of weightlifters, of female weightlifters, that again ties into my whole thing of, they wouldn't have that opportunity if the women that were in the back earlier in the day hadn't have done what they'd done years ago. Yeah, the Trish. 25 years ago. Trish, Jen and Diana. Yeah. The TOs, BWL. Women like that paved the way for the rest of us. So when we get to that in the Masters chat, I should be allowed. I sort of think women fought, and so now we need to earn. Does that make sense? Like, we don't. It's not right. We have to. We should earn it just the same way as everybody else. And those girls, all the women on that platform, were so strong, and it was a privilege to watch them. And in between lifts, I could glance over and watch the powerlifting, which is not a sport that I've ever really watched in its own right until right in that moment. I've watched, obviously, I watch them on the Instagram, and I watch them when we're they're in the back and they're warming up, and I'm like astounded by what they can achieve. But to be able to watch both at the same time and have the crowd behind it was really impressive. And so I will invest in some earplugs next time, but I'll tolerate the noise for the eyes that the two sports got.
Yeah.
Because it was impressive.
Yeah,
it really
sure.
was. It was a lot though. Busy weekend. Don't think I ate.
No.
Didn't eat enough. Didn't drink enough.
You never do you?
Not that it wasn't on, like, not that there wasn't water. You know, that's not to say BWL didn't provide water, because they did. It's just you're so busy, and the day it like flies and also doesn't fly at the same time, doesn't it? So, but yeah, I can't believe that's it. It's another British done.
Yep.
So next is Lift Me Up.
Yes, which is going to be. I'm really looking forward to that.
Me too. Me too.
Sort of dialed it back down again, which is nice, because I think last year it was quite a hectic occasion with the British Open sort of being included.
Yeah.
So,
I think bringing it back to what it's about.
Yeah.
So Lift Me Up. We've had Emily Muscat on. If you've listened to any of our episodes before, you might have already heard it, and if you haven't, I'd implore you to go back and listen to it. It's a shorter episode, but I think Emily she's one of those people that I've got a lot of time for, and I think we could all learn a lot from.
Yeah.
She coaches with the talent transfer kids now, and is obviously an Olympian herself. She's been to World, European. You know, she's a how would you say it?
Legend.
Not medalled. Yes, a legend of the sport,
Legend
but also just a lovely person.
Yeah.
And
very understated.
Yeah.
You know, she doesn't shout about anything that all of achievements.
Oh, she's like Maggie, isn't she?
Yeah.
She's gonna be a Maggie. She's gonna be the mum on the playground that nobody knows went to the Olympics, because she won't. You know, not to put Maggie on the spot again, but Maggie's another one who is, you see her running around at BWL, and you just see Maggie from BWL, and you don't see the weightlifter, the shot putter, you know, the when we were on teams with her on occasion, the amount of medals and awards she's got in the background, you know, just Wikipedia her name. There's more going on than people realise. These people love sport, and they love our sport, and that's why they do what they do. But Emily not only loves our sport, but obviously loved her mum, and tragically lost her mum not long before she went to the Olympics. And so Lift Me Up is a charity competition, so not a penny goes through Sport 80, it doesn't go through BWL, it doesn't go through Emily, everything goes directly to Just Giving. So to register, you register on Just Giving, everything on the day. I remember the first time I went and TO'd, I bought a t-shirt, and you buy the t-shirts by donating to Just Giving in front of the person on the table. I bought it from SPD, and you donate to Just Giving. So it's a full charity comp. It's not the profits go to, it's everything has been donated, so it's sponsored. Currently, I mean, the list of sponsors, you probably know them better than I do at this point.
Sponsor wise, so we've got, of course, Lou Jarjan UK. So Shemek. We're obviously going to be there. We have Express Media, so Will's heading down there, so we're hoping he'll be doing a live stream as well. But all the athlete packages there, so he encourages athletes to buy the packages, but all the money goes to charity. We have
Weightlifting House, Optimum Nutrition, CJC Gains, Goose Squad. Krithik's made a limited edition t-shirt, so if you are a Goose Squad member and you haven't bought a raffle ticket, what planet are you on? Because you could actually have a once in a lifetime t-shirt that you could train in, and that will never exist again. I mean, If that isn't a reason to buy a raffle ticket, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
So yeah, Luge Outing UK. So Shemek's going to be there with a stall. So if you've ever wondered what the shoes feel like, Aaron was a die-hard Anta. I'll never get rid of my Antas. I'll never leave Anta. I expressed slight interest in a particular pair of Luge, and the look of disgust from Aaron that I might not wear my Antas was pretty intense. But what did you compete in?
Antas. All right. I might have shifted slightly. I'm so gutted that
You can love two things at the same time. I love my Antas.
Yeah,
and I probably still will train in my Antas. But the Luge, I don't know. The Luge are they're lighter, but there's more surface. I don't know what it is about them. There's more toe room. I just feel like I like the shoes. Anyway, the point was not to go off on a rant about how much I like the shoes. The point was, if you've ever wondered whether or not you might like the shoes, because some people buy them and then don't like them. I know people who have bought the Luge, put them on, done a couple of sessions and gone, these aren't for me, and they've gone back to Rom 2s. And I know same with the tiers. You know, last year I always thought it was TYR, but apparently you do pronounce it tier. I know a lot of people that won them last year's British sold them because they didn't like the way they fit their feet. Everybody's different. So if you've always wondered about the Luge, Shemek's gonna have a stall.
Yep.
Go and try a pair on. The barefoot shoes, I would never go back to Vivo because, honestly, just purely because Luge are a third of the price, and they're the exact same shoe. You know, like. Give them a go.
Take a genius to work that one out.
Yeah, just give them a go. So they're going to have a little vendor village. And I just think it's a nice atmosphere. So you go from having, again, Olympians. We've got Mark House. He comes over from America. So he is USA Weightlifting speaker.
Yeah.
He comes.
Always nice to see him.
Yeah, he comes over and does the speaking for the comp. So you'll go from complete beginners to Commonwealth Olympian athletes on the platform.
Yep.
Everybody cheering for everybody exactly the same. Mark usually ends up putting his money where his mouth is and saying anybody who goes 6 for 6 he'll donate a certain amount of money, or any new athlete who makes their first lift he'll donate. Anyway, I remember the first time I was there and he had to donate a little over $2,000, didn't he? Because it motivated so many people to go to get those lifts. But it's a really fun comp. So if you're in and or around Devon, Winners 2000.
Yep, Newton
Abbey. And that is on the 2nd of August, Saturday. Come down.
Yeah, even if there's still a couple of spots left for lifting.
Yeah.
But even if you can't make the lifting, please come down and support it. Or we have a raffle as well.
Yeah, if you can't get there, the raffle's a way. The raffle is a way of just giving something back into a community. And I think that's why I sort of talked about Emily and who she is and what she does, because she gives a lot back. You know, she got a lot from the sport, and she got a lot of support from Matt, and she got to the Olympics and she achieved those dreams, but she still now helps other young people achieve their dreams. People like Amelie Pelter, Fumi, you know, people that are coming over from other sports from this talent transfer. She's constantly looking for the next person to bring over. So in supporting her to support the youth, I think that sort of does that full circle, right?
Yep. Community,
strength in every story.
Yeah.
Let's support Emily with hers. Because it's a heartbreaking story, but she's turned it around into something beautiful, and I think that's something we should all try and get behind if we can. So the raffle tickets are £5. The link's in our bio. It's in the Lift Me Up bio. If you buy 3, you get 1 free. Lou donated a pair of shoes. We donated a pair of lifters. There's a limited edition T-shirt. There is anything you would like from the Goose Squad store. Yeah. There is a Weightlifting House backpack, and these are all raffle prizes, and they're all individual raffle prizes. So, you know, there's at least 5 winners, 5 chances, £5. You know, buy 1 ticket, it's £1 a prize. I'd get on that if I were you.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it probably. And I don't think we have a guest now until we'll probably do another one. You're probably going to be subjected to us again
after
Lift Me Up.
Yeah,
doing a little rundown of Lift Me Up, and then we'll go back to guests. But yeah, as far as the British goes, loved it.
Yeah,
it went by so fast.
It did. It flew.
Yeah, I don't know where it went, which might be why it feels like we've not really covered it. But we've been talking for a while. I think people are probably bored of listening to us now. But
yeah, I think we're about an hour and something.
Yeah.
So. And I need to cough a lot because the air conditioning in the unit.
You shouted a lot over the weekend. So yeah, we'll see you after Lift Me Up. In the meantime, though, if you want to support us any more than you already do by giving us a listen, you can buy yourselves a t-shirt from our store, Rocket Bunny store, which is linked on our Instagram, and we can put in the bio and the description of this YouTube video. And don't forget that we are sponsored by Lu Xiaojun, and you can use our code #5% off.
Yep.
Anything you might want. Come to Lift Me Up, try on some shoes.
Yeah.
Buy them with a discount code. Done.
Awesome.
See you next time.
You've been listening to the Bar, strength in every story. Thanks so much for listening. We're so happy to have you as a member of our community. We have a passion for weightlifting, but we also have an insatiable curiosity about everyone's story. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. And we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, find us on Instagram at _2_thebar. And be sure to hit the website at 2-thebar.com. See you next time on To The Bar. And remember, there's strength in every story.